Greetings from the Pacific Northwest. In celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, we are excited to partner with Latinx in Gaming to spotlight some of our Hispanic and Latin American employees at Nintendo. This will be in a panel discussion format. And a big thank you goes out to our Latinx Gaming for putting this event together. My name is Ana Siharith, and I'm a program manager on our talent acquisition team. And I'm honored to be your co-host for today's event.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Forrest, and I'm excited to also be your co-host. I'm a senior recruiter here at Nintendo. Today, our panelists include Hispanic and Latin American employees from various disciplines across Nintendo. We hope you will gain some insight into the impactful work that they do and feel inspired with their career journeys, specifically within the gaming industry.
Great. Thanks so much, Josh. Let's meet our panelists. Perhaps we'll start with Pilar. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Annie, and thank you, Latinx, for this invitation. I'm Pilar Pueblita from the Latin American team working in PR and events. And I'm from Mexico City, for the beautiful Coyoacán in the south of Mexico. It's mi tierra. And I'm here working at Nintendo for the Latin American region as part of the Latin American team. Thank you for the invitation.
Hi, and I'm so glad to be here and grateful as well. My name is Cesar Perez, and I'm originally from Tijuana, Mexico. And I work in product development, publishing, and design, also known to many of you as the Treehouse. I work in the localization department, and there we adapt the content of games, usually originally from Japanese, and it goes to different languages, English included, and in my case for Spanish for Latin America. And I'm also co-lead of the OLA Employee Resource Group at Nintendo, which serves the Hispanic and Latino community within our company. And I've been at Nintendo for 13 years and 15 in the industry overall.
Well, hello, everybody. Thanks so much for the invite. Super happy to be here today. My name is Cecilia da Costa. I am from Brazil, from South Brazil. And I have been at Nintendo for 10 years, actually celebrating this year, my big anniversary here at Nintendo. Thank you. I have worn many hats in these 10 years of my career, and I currently work at the customer service department, but I have done several translation work for Portuguese and Spanish.
Awesome. My name is Fernando Silva Marines. I am originally also from Mexico City. And I am, yay, Mexico City. And I am the GPU Tools lead software engineer at Nintendo Technology Development. And I've been with Nintendo now about somewhere around 6 years. And my day-to-day is about making amazing tools to put the smiles on developers, right? And help them empower them with their graphics development. So very excited to be here today.
All right, thanks so much for the introduction, everybody. It's so wonderful to see so many different business groups represented here today. Panelists, before we start with our Q&A, we'd like to share a couple videos with you. So let's go ahead and play that video real quick.
I know this put a smile on my face when I watch them. When you watch these videos, I guess, what comes to your mind? How does this make you feel?
Well, for me, it's a lot of representation of the people like myself. And actually the first video reminds me a lot of my childhood. When I was a kid, every Sunday at my grandma's house in Coyoacán in Mexico City, we were making sopes. I remember that I was taking my bike, going to a tortilleria for bringing this corn masa for making handmade sopes at my grandma's house. And that was actually, of course, delicious, but that's a really good moment. And that's remind me that, the family together, playing together, that is something that I lived when I was a kid. So what I'm seeing is representation totally from the people from my community.
And to me, it's, I also see myself represented, and particularly is in my life, like I've experienced a lot of things in family. Like, I not just, we can go shopping as a family with my grandma or grandpa. I think everyone, someone looks at something, we're all sharing it. And in this case, like these experiences, like in the Mario Golf video, that reminds me of a time where my grandma was actually beating all my cousins by playing Wii Sports, and all my cousins who are gamers and love, been playing games for years, like being dumbfounded that grandma is winning, and and also that that talk, that banter that goes into the games, but also looking at the Animal Crossing one, and it also reminds me of how you can share experiences within the games. And my youngest son has been playing Animal Crossing online with my mom and my sister and my cousin. And, you put stuff in real life, messages, things for others to discover within the game, playing hide and seek. And so, these two videos really talk to my experience.
To me, it definitely makes me smile, right? It reminds me of childhood, and just this video takes me directly to the 90s when I used to play Mario Kart with my cousins, with my primos in Brazil, and the family together, sharing snack and having fun and having a good time, and being that big Latino Brazilian family, loud and screaming at all of our victories and annoying our parents. But definitely being working at Nintendo and just feeling represented, right? Just seeing those videos that represents where I come from, right? Represents the people, represents my family.
Oh, yeah. For me, I also really appreciated the abuelita scene. When I was growing up, my grandmothers were like an incredibly important part of my life, and they used to play with all of grandchildren, right? So with my cousins and everything, and we would have gather like every weekend at my grandma's house, and we'd have food there every Saturday. And it was one of my very, very cherished memories. And I would say that in most, if not all, Latin American cultures, grandparents do play a core role in the family structure. And seeing this represented in the ad, I don't know, that really touched me. So I really, really liked it.
Well, thanks so much for sharing all your experiences and the thoughts. One thing I noticed is for sure I saw all your faces light up when you saw the videos, and you spoke of representation and awareness in the Latin community, and the images really brought those memories to life, right? So perhaps this is a great way to segue into our Q&A portion of the event and explore Latin American representation and impact in gaming. So let's start with the first question for our panelists. Please tell us about your career journey to Nintendo. We'll start with Pilar.
Yeah, I'm from Mexico City, and I study communication in the National University in Mexico. And I always want to work in the external communication team of a big company or something related to the corporative activities. I started an internship working in a PR firm in Mexico City. And one of the clients was Nintendo. I remember the first time that someone told me, hey, you got the internship, and one of the clients is Nintendo. And that happened more than 15 years ago. Please don't do the math. But I started to work as the base of my professional career as a PR professional, as a communication professional, working in the gaming industry in Mexico City. So I worked as the PR consultant for Nintendo in Mexico and some other countries in Latin America for more than 10 years. And then I got a lot of experience on how the gaming industry is in the country. Working as a PR and working with the media, I remember that at the beginning of my career, I was working with the editors of the printed magazines in Mexico. Now it's totally different, but that's how I started to work, giving all the news from Nintendo to the consumers in Latin America. Some years after that, I had the chance to work inside the company, and now I'm part of the Latin American team working as the PR for Latin America, and I'm in charge of events, social media, and of course, all the activities that includes the media relation in Mexico. Starting from Mexico to Argentina along the region. So that's how I just start. And I will say that I'm super excited and grateful with Nintendo because I just start my professional, at the base of my professional career as a PR in the gaming with the brand. So that's how I start.
Yeah, and my path hasn't been as linear. I started with a focus on computer science, and I wanted to maybe follow a path more similar to Fernando's. And at that point, I remember thinking about Nintendo and thinking, you know what, I'd love to work for Nintendo, but it's probably never in the cards. And while studying, I realized at one point that I had sort of not brush up on my Spanish skills, and I made a conscious commitment to go back and read and be aware of what's happening back in Mexico and and Latin America in general. And that was a conscious decision that helped me in the future because was able to work for a company that was doing import, export, and I was dealing with people both in Mexico and the US, and I got a lot of experience interpreting. Um, and then I moved to Washington State, and I saw Nintendo. I was like, oh, I saw this opportunity. So I got to work for a company that does work at Nintendo. So I was a contractor. And at one point, I saw a position that required bilingual skills in localization. And I said, oh, that's for me. And so I fortunately had a lot of experience built up in the past, both in language skills, but also a path as someone who loves games, and that fit right in, and that's where I'm at.
I have been working in customer service industry for over almost 17 years now, and when I first started working at Nintendo 10 years ago, I already have experience in customer service. I've always been very passionate about languages. As I mentioned before, I am from South Brazil, and basically the town I was born is border with the Uruguay. So you kind of grow up learning Spanish and Portuguese in school. So language has always been a passion of mine. When I started working at Nintendo 10 years ago, I was the lead of the Spanish team. We had a very small Spanish team helping consumers, and we evolved. And then eventually we created the Portuguese team, and we have the French team, and we have all the languages. And here I am 10 years later managing not just the bilingual groups. I also manage the chat and SMS, escalation team, and here and there I will help with some minimal translations when I have the time, and I really love it because it just keeps my language skills, especially Spanish, which will be my second language, Portuguese being my first, just keeps me the practice, and I really love doing that.
So it's hard to top off. I love you three. But for me, when I was little, I really, really loved Super Mario World. That was one of my favorite games, and it still is to this day. And I had the dream, or so my mom tells me, that I told her one day that I wanted to work in Nintendo. And in the end, I didn't actually pay too much attention to this dream. Right? It kind of got in the back of my mind, but it seems my subconscious actually did not forget about it. So after I graduated DigiPen, so I had the big opportunity to come study in the US. I was very lucky on that. And when I graduated, I started working for Nintendo. And after a couple of years, I did leave Nintendo. I went to work for Xbox, and I was there for a few years. And suddenly an incredible opportunity opened up back in Nintendo. And I decided to come back. And I'm really happy to see everyone, all those happy faces here. And in my position, I don't really require Spanish language skills, but it has actually helped me connect with quite a few developers in the international community, as well as candidates. But interestingly enough, one of the ones that actually helped the most was connecting with people and like developers in Japan. For some reason, the Spanish skills just translated somehow well to there. So it was kind of a pleasant surprise.
Very nice. Everyone has such unique stories, and I thank you all for sharing those with us. In each of your individual roles, how do you feel your role has impacted our customers?
I will say that it's because I'm the one bringing all the Nintendo news to the consumers in Latin America in their own languages. I'm a spokesperson of Nintendo in Spanish, so I'm allowed to give interviews. I'm allowed to, get access to the information, prepare to the news to the consumers, posting in social media. I'm managing also the channels in Latin American Facebook and Instagram. And all that information is in the language of the consumers. So that's how my work is impacted the consumers in the region, because I'm that channel in between the company to the consumers for getting the news, the official news about what Nintendo is presenting, what is the news, what is coming, etc. And in another way, part of my role is coordinating events. So before COVID, of course, and I'm actually looking forward to after COVID time and it's safe for everyone, we can, get together again in those big events with booths and gameplays area, etc. But back in a couple of 3 years ago, probably, I had the chance to put in the hands of the people games that they were not already released. For example, in Brazil Game Show in 2019, the consumers had the chance to play Luigi's Mansion 3 before launch. In Mexico City in 2018, in December, we had the chance to put in the hands of the players Super Smash Bros. Ultimate before launch. So that's how my work is impacted those consumers, bringing those special experiences or opportunities and being that channel in between the Nintendo and the official information from Nintendo to the consumers through myself as a spokesperson, but also the channels in the social media and talking to the media, journalists, influencers of what is happening. So that's how my work is impacted to the consumers in Latin America.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure seeing you work, really.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my role is a little bit of like I get to contribute a little bit in making the games, and what I feel like the impact of my role in particular is in terms of language, translating or localizing the content for Latin American Spanish. What I help is in bringing these games to people that normally would not be able to play them because of language barriers, right? So it's the way I see it, I help make games for people so that they can feel that they're also made for them. When you're playing something in your language, you feel like, oh, this is made for me. And there's, whereas it's different language, you might feel, oh, not necessarily as personal. And when you reach out and you're able to see expressions or things that you also use in your personal life, I think it's special.
So nice. So this question really kind of very easy for me to answer because that's my job. That's what I do. Help consumers all the time. And I'm like, I see Pilar and Cesar, you guys right there helping, in making those games available, and Pilar sharing all of that on social media. And my team is more on the back end, right? We're helping consumers with any issues they might have with their systems. And definitely the goal for our department is just to get consumers and their systems working as fast as possible, right? If it's through a repair or it's through any account issue, we have agents available over the phone, over chat, over email, ready to help. And basically that's what we do all day. And I feel very lucky to get the feedback from consumers and to get the interaction on a daily basis.
That's awesome. For me, I would say every amazing game out there, all the games out there are made by all those developers. It's a matter of really hard work and love. I'd say making games, that's what it's about. And thank you to all of you developers out there. And that's really what I want to help. Those are the people that I try to empower, is all of you, all of those developers, to be more productive and to squeeze every bit of performance from the GPU, right? I'm working by making great tools, and that way I can directly help all of those games that put those smiles in people's faces. And at the end, developers also get us some smiles on them too. So it's always a pleasant day.
All right, well, thanks so much for sharing all that. I know that each one of your role has had huge impacts on our consumers. Just to continue to build on that, I know you've worked on so many different projects as well. Can you share details about some of the projects you've worked on in the past that you found most rewarding? Of course, I'm sure there's a lot of them, but just share us with maybe one project that you found most rewarding.
Yeah, from my side, definitely is when I'm working at events. it's incredible to see the passion of the people about the brand, about the Nintendo characters, about the Nintendo games. I have been seeing a lot of smiles, and actually that's one of the big rewards for working at Nintendo for me, that the mission of the company is putting smiles on the people's faces, and actually I'm seeing them in the real life every time I'm going to an event. I remember small kids with their dad playing Mario Kart. And one of my favorites is in Brazil back in 2019, someone gave the engagement ring inside the Nintendo booth in front of Mario. And it was special for that, that couple they got engaged in our event. And of course, we got a lot of smiles. So that's actually very rewarding for me, that, all the work that it's, working for making an event from the US to the local markets. And when I'm there and seeing all those faces smiling, is like, okay, this is it. This is what Nintendo is. It is the mission and that passion. And definitely that's an amazing experience and a very rewards for me as a professional working at Nintendo, but also as a fan, because of course I'm a Nintendo fan as well. So it's super, super excited, and it's really, unique since all those experiences.
Yeah, I share a lot of sentiment. Like when you like games, when you like Nintendo, I think it becomes a particularly special experience, right? Like, and in my case, I feel really fortunate to be able to work with certain characters, like especially I've worked on Smash Brothers, and like seeing all these characters, and I'm getting to work with this character and this character and this character. But there are definitely some landmarks. And for me, I think the most special moment was being a part of a team that helped bring Breath of the Wild, and to add Latin American Spanish text and voice to the game, and seeing Zelda speak for the first time. That was a very special moment for me. And well, even though I didn't work in this title, I kind of want to mention it because it was a special moment to me when I saw Mario in Tostarena in Super Mario Odyssey. Seeing a lot of these characters in an environment that resembles, some places in Mexico, and there's other characters, that remind me of Easter Island. But I don't know, it just seeing Mario with a sombrero, that's the sort of thing that when I'm working here and I see that kind of things, like, oh man, this is a great place to be.
Oh boy, yeah, I've been part of so many special projects, but one thing that really comes to mind is when we open chat support in Spanish for Spanish-speaking consumers. We have had chat available for the English language for a while, and has always been a passion of me, and always bringing to my supervisor, hey, let's make this available for Spanish-speaking consumers as well. Like, it's 2021, who likes to pick up the phone to call customer service, right? Everybody wants to use the written channels. So definitely making that work. It's a lot of work, definitely, to get all the tools and everything available in Spanish, and the text ready, and the team trained, but everybody was pumped. And the team was super excited to be able to provide the option to consumer, because that's the goal, right? Always to try to meet the consumer halfway, and consumers want to chat, consumers want to send messages. And that was very rewarding to have the opportunity to work on that project.
For me, I guess one of my biggest passions is to help people. And I also have a big love for computer graphics and performance. So that's like, it's rare when you get an opportunity that kind of combines all of that together. So getting this chance to lead the creation of new graphics debuggers and profiler tools, I mean, it's super special. So when I was contacted by Nintendo to lead this effort, I got incredibly excited about this opportunity. And, I love every day, and I really like working with my team. So big shout out to all my team. they're amazing. So I'm having a lot of fun.
Nice. Those are some really special moments you all shared. We talked a lot about smiles in those. Here at Nintendo, our mission is to put smiles on the faces of everyone we touch. I guess, how has Nintendo empowered you to deliver smiles to others?
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling a lot of responsibility, of course, for being a spokesperson of Nintendo, because that's actually a way for bringing smiles, for giving the news, telling them, talking to them in their own language, especially in the Spanish-speaking countries, because the interviews that I'm giving is in Spanish primary. So that's how I'm feeling, that empowered that Nintendo is giving me, but a lot of trust and a lot of responsibility as well. So definitely this, like showing that mission in my work, just giving those messages to the consumers, it's great. It's a lot of, like empowerment, a lot of responsibility again, but it's great that I have the chance to be that spokesperson to the people in the Latin America, that it's the region where I grew up. So it's a really good experience.
For me, working on the content side, my day-to-day work, I don't get to see so much how things turn up in the end, but there have been certain moments, and Pilar works in events, and I've been fortunate to have gone to E3 or other places and seeing people play our games, and I don't know, just like seeing, I think the rewarding part is seeing that I get to contribute just a little bit, that little piece of dialogue that helps people, figure out a puzzle, or, find a clue, or just smile. You say you deliver a line, and and seeing people react to it, that's where I feel like I'm empowered to do that. And games themselves is something that is important for people. It's not, crucial or life-saving, but I think it's important for us.
So I do feel empowered every day. I show up for work in my role, working in customer service, and be able to help people and be able to always make the right decision, right? Because each situation is different, right? We can have someone calling with an issue on this or that, or people that have never played games before, or a grandma that is calling because the child wants to play and the grandma is trying to help. Or sometimes even it's just getting a call from a little kid that, oh my gosh, mom, I'm calling from Nintendo, I'm talking to Mario. Just being empowered, right, to treat each consumer in a different way, right? To feel their needs. And I think I need to provide all the tools that myself and my team, we need, to make, again, like Josh said, bring smiles to consumer faces.
Oh, that's incredible. For me, I feel like I'm empowered because I have the opportunity to make these tools, or these new tools for developers. And I get to help them. Sometimes these tools help them through the darkest moments of optimizing the games, and right before like an event or something like that. And it's fantastic when they tell you, hey, the tool worked, it really helped us. Or the other one is when they deliver us feedback. I really enjoy that. And that you see them using the tool, and then you go and actually implement their feedback, and then show it to them like a day or two after, and then they have a big smile, like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. And then that is, to me, one of the most fulfilling moments of working with developers.
Great. It sounds like you all have contributed to our mission in so many different ways, and I know you'll continue to do more. What do you like most about the Nintendo culture and the Nintendo brand? I know you touched a little bit on that, but we just want to hear directly from you.
I will say that also for the consumers, that everyone, every kind of gamer or player can find a game with Nintendo games. I think that it's exactly the same internally, because anyone in the company will feel like a part of a family. We can find in a different teams, we can work with the different teams. So that's one of the cultures, the culture of Nintendo that I like most, because I'm feeling as part of an extended family. So definitely the company is putting smiles on the consumer faces, but also in our face every day, because I love that I'm working with Pikachu, with Mario, with Luigi, Kirby. So that's actually one of the most elements in the Nintendo culture that I appreciate.
Yeah, going into Nintendo, I really didn't know what to expect. You know, you're going from one side to the other, and I'm happy to say that my experience is as how I expected it. Right, like I feel like there's a lot of people that are excited, that are passionate about their work, and there is this quality, I think, that you know, because I've worked with people across the pond, you know, Europe or Japan and other places, uh, and there's this universality about fun, and I think we live it. You know, I get to see it in other places and from the inside and the consumers, and I think that's the special part. I think that's what I like more, just embracing that.
To me, it's definitely, you know, the brand speaks for itself. It's fun. And come on, I work at Nintendo. I how often I've worked in so many companies. Are you having lunch? You're having lunch and you see Mario coming by. It's just like, oh gosh, you look at Mario, and you know, everybody smiles and you want to go and you want to shake Mario's hand. So there's just that opportunity, right? Just Nintendo always trying to create and surprise us, right? The internal consumers, the employees, and just feel so lucky just to be here and be able to work in a company that I feel family, right? I've been here for 10 years. I know so many people. My team has been here for 10 years. Most of my team has been here before me. And we just kind of know each other. It's just you come to work and everybody knows you and knows everything about you. And it's just like, I just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's funny you said about the Mario, because it is true. It's kind of nice. I remember probably one of my first weeks in Nintendo, and I see Mario walking down the hallway or in the cafeteria, and there's Luigi too, and you're like, oh my goodness. It's funny, but it also gives you, you know, the feels. And it is true too that Nintendo does feel like an extended family. That's how it has felt for me. It's like everyone kind of takes care of each other, and it's always concerned if someone leaves, people are actually kind of like really sad. And sometimes from either other departments that you don't work, it's like, oh, this person is leaving. That's really sad. And in the same as this, the opposite is true. Is like when I came back, some people were really, really receptive and came to say hi again. Like the people in Zumba class were excited. I really had a lot of fun there. And I think the other part here is that Nintendo does bring a lot of smiles to everyone, because when you say to someone, oh yeah, they ask, where do you work? And I'm like, I work at Nintendo, and you see their eyes light up and like, you work at Nintendo? And they get so excited about it. I think that just like tugs on my heartstrings.
Yeah, I'm gonna like barge in a little bit, but yeah, a couple of things. One, like Cecilia was saying, how long her team has been here. I've been here 13 years, and yet I'm not one of the veterans. You know, it's surprising to see people being here for 20 plus years, 30 years, and they still want to stay. They still want to go on, and that's surprising. I don't know if I've ever seen any other workplace like that. And one last thing to say, when I saw Fernando at the cafe, like from a distance, as he was back, I was happy. I'm really, really happy. I remember.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I've only been here for a little over 3 years now myself, but from what I've experienced so far, I would definitely mirror those sentiments. It's really pretty incredible place to be.
Hey, Fernando, I get just excited to see Mario and Luigi walk down the hallway. So that excitement goes the same way over here too.
Yeah, it's just such a funny, such a funny type of event, right? That everyone's like, oh yeah, there it is.
It is definitely it is.
That was the first opportunity I got. I made sure to get the photo with Mario so I could use it for my LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, that's the spirit.
I guess could you share with us, you know, how has Nintendo provided support for our Hispanic Latino employees?
Yeah, I will say that we are here just 4 members of the Hispanic community at Nintendo, but we are an important group of people working at the company. And we have actually an internal tool, this internal group, which name is Hola, and Cesar will tell us more about it. But this, we get together, we have sometimes we have lunches, or we are actually inviting people who they are not part of the Latino community, but they want to learn what is happening in our cultures, what kind of food we eat, or just practicing their Spanish skills. So that's one important tool for get together as, you know, group of people from the same heritage. And that's great. And I love it to be part of Hola.
Yeah, you know, normally you hear companies' names, right? You think about this monolith and you hear Nintendo. And in my experience in this company is that you have people individually trying to make a difference, like Cecilia said, you know, and bringing chat to another language, right? And that's the sort of thing people advocating. And thankfully, Nintendo, we've had the opportunity to create resource groups as employees where we have things in common, and we've been able to have this space in Hola where we can share some of our passions, interests, both, you know, work related, but also on a more personal level. And but there's not just, it's not limited to an employee resource group. I'd like to think that, you know, there's a lot of people in the company that are advocates.
I think for me it's just if you feel represented when the Hola team puts an event together, you can participate, or when there's an article that's available that talks about the, you know, the community. And also for all my peers, they are not involved on Hola, but they're curious to know me, to know where I come from, what kind of food my family eats, what do we do, and, you know, how I grow up. So just that constant support, not just from the Hola group and the Hispanic Latina group, but also for everybody else. Right? Nintendo is a very diverse company. We have people from all kinds of walk of life here. And it's just nice to share and be able to say, hey, I am Cecilia, I am from Brazil, and here's how we do things in Brazil. And people are very interested and curious to know about me.
I know, I think Nintendo has wonderful D&I initiatives. I mean, it's just starting from like the employee resource groups, employee support, and then also with like recruiting. So shout out to HR, everyone over there. And it is really neat to see like how the Hola team has been holding the gatherings and events, and making sure that all the people with the Hispanic Latin heritage at Nintendo get together. And I also want to send a really, really big kudos, especially for the 2020 and 2021, to Cafe Mario. They are always going above and beyond to make sure all the dishes from very different regions in the world get represented. And it's really, really wonderful. Like one of my favorites, and it's the curry katsu. When it was every 2 Tuesdays, or it was every month or so on the Tuesday, and I would get super excited about that dish. And it was one of the fantastic, and you would see like the lines going, and every time there's a new dish for a specific like a culture, you see everyone lining up, like, and then the food runs out. So it is just really incredible for that. And I think another one has been just going to the recruiting events, and really being able to connect like with the people, and during the conference, and collect with all the actual community, listen to their stories, and they can listen to mine, and trying to help find a way for them to find a position with us, or just to guide them on how to get there. So it is really, really nice to have all these opportunities.
Right. Well, we appreciate all your partnership, you know, especially when we go out to engage with the community. So thank you. I hear talks of inclusivity and opportunities and just support from our Hola ERG group. That's wonderful to hear. Speaking of Hola, what is Hola doing to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month at Nintendo? I'm going to specifically reach out to Cesar on this one, because you are leading the Hola group. So what are we doing for Hispanic Heritage Month?
Well, the last couple of years have been a little bit challenging. So this year we've being a little bit mindful of our fellow employees, and so we dialed a little back in terms of activities. But even though we're dialed back, doesn't mean we're not doing anything. And so one of the things we do is make sure we reserve a day to highlight Brazil. We touch upon different nationalities or identities within our group, but we felt that it's important to always like dedicate in particular Brazil, because it's sometimes like when we mention something like Hispanic, we don't represent the whole gamut, right? So we want to make sure that we always keep that space. And this year we highlighted an article of Nintendo's presence in Brazil and Children's Day. I wouldn't want to say it in Portuguese, Cecilia, but because I would probably butcher it. But it's a great celebration where people meet with families and celebrate their kids and give them presents. And so we kind of tied those things together of like how Nintendo's also helping bring smiles to kids in Brazil. That's one of the things, and bring it to the company and inviting people to learn more about Brazil. And that's sort of the goal, like trying to inform. Another thing we've done is with food dishes, we've realized that food, like Fernando said, is something that brings us together, and not just our community, but people from other communities, right? So it's we've ask people to share videos with short, like you would share in social media, very short, succinct, of what your comfort foods are. And we've had a couple of videos like with chilaquiles, Mexican cocoa, pupusas. So that's the sort of thing activities that we're doing. And I want to add a little extra thing to the previous question, Annie. You said something that all of us is try to partner with other groups within Nintendo. And when Fernando says going to recruiting events, I'm happy to say that I work with someone that was recruited to one of these events. So big shout out. It's always a collaborative effort.
That's great. Thank you for the acknowledgement and the shout out.
Yeah, I'm excited for the food. Yeah, I can't wait to make like mole verde. That'd be pretty fun. Or cochinita pibil. That'll be interesting because it's hard to get the ingredients over here.
And for this activity, I'm actually planning to make those sopes that I was making with my grandma when I was a kid. So I will try with handmade tortillas. So I will see how that goes.
Yeah, it will be delicious. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah.
Just make sure I'm invited, okay? Because this all is making me hungry.
Well, sounds good.
Now, I'm sure many of our audience members are probably curious. Do you get to play lots of games here at Nintendo? And what are some of your favorite Nintendo perks as an employee?
I would say that definitely to get the chance to play the games is one of them. Of course, I'm actually working for those games, but as part of my work, of course, I need to play the games and see how is the gaming experience when I'm talking about them in front of media or just talking to the consumers through the social media. And yeah, definitely it's a really nice perk that I got at Nintendo, but also I will quote Fernando, and actually it's my favorite perk is, yes, every time I'm saying I'm working at Nintendo, the reaction from the people is amazing. It's like, whoa, you work at Nintendo, or that's amazing. And yes, that's actually one of my favorites because I love to say that I'm part of the Nintendo community.
And for me, I want to say that first, yeah, it is work. It is a job, and you have to, have certain output. But a really great thing is to be able to work on something that you love, right? Something you enjoy in your personal life. And I think in that game, in that respect, I'm very lucky. And I do get to play games for work. Usually in terms of development, the very first thing I need to do is to play the game, because I need to understand the context, mechanics, story, get all these things to make sure that the developer intent is properly conveyed to anyone that's playing. So yeah, game playing is a perk. I see people also playing outside of the work. I see people playing Smash Brothers in conference rooms, or there's this one group that still plays Mario Kart DS since it came out. So it's just regularly, and I think that's part of this attitude, this feeling. I think it's one of the greatest perks.
So I do often try to play the new games coming out just to understand how the game works, what are the specifics about the game, just as work in customer service if you do have questions. And again, it's not bad to play games while working. Definitely a good perk. But I would say my favorite perk is just I've been here for 10 years, but still seeing the characters, right? See Mario walking down the hall is every time is just, it makes my heart melt. I love it.
Yeah, for me, right now I don't really get too much time to play too many games, but I do work with the teams and companies that make the games, and sometimes I do get to experience the games before they're released, which is really, really neat. And like I said, like even Pilar said, just repeating that, is one of the biggest perks still saying that I work for Nintendo, and people get so excited about it, and you see people smile. And other things that I do love is kind of like also what Cesar said was people playing something in the corner, or a new game comes out. I'll never forget when Animal Crossing for the 3DS came out. Me and other people on the team, we were trying to exchange the fruits. So we could not get the persimmons, and then someone had one cartridge copy that got the persimmons, and then we would all just be exchanging persimmons. So it was kind of like really fun. Other really cool things was I remember it's another story with when Mario Kart 7 came out, and then there was this event to make the little Pinewood Derby racing. Oh, that was exciting. That was actually really, really fun. And you can see there was two competitions, right? There was one for going fast, and then there was the one for who makes the coolest car. And then there were some that were ridiculously cool, like even had lights and everything. It was really, really fun. And I think the last thing is you can't forget, again, the Zumba class, the fitness center. It's really fun. And Cafe Mario. I love Cafe Mario. I love food, let's be honest.
So I hear lots of perks, and I have been in and out of the Zumba classes, and I haven't seen you there yet, but food, Cafe Mario, and the Nintendo brand, I'm wearing a Mario Halloween shirt right now in the spirit of Halloween. So all of our IPs are fun. So I'm sure the audience is also wondering, like, okay, you've talked about all the perks and the culture of Nintendo. So what advice would you give to our audience if they are looking for a career opportunity of Nintendo? So Pilar, what are your thoughts?
I will say the first one is find your passion. Find what you really like to do. Find what you really you are good at, and study about them, work about that professional practice, create a really good base of experience in that professional practice, and then just look an opportunity at Nintendo. I will say, like, visit every day the Nintendo website, jobs website, and try to find a position that fits with your profile. And if someone is not now available, try tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, probably you will find. But my main advice is find your passion, and that will be easier, for getting your dream job, and of course for working in companies as Nintendo. So that's my advice to the people.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with Pilar. Like, it's figure out what you want and what to do in life, and learn to be good at it, and then see if Nintendo does what you enjoy doing. And another important thing is don't be afraid to apply. Just remember, because you've in the past didn't get a particular job one place or another, doesn't mean that you're not going to get a job somewhere else, right? And even if you've applied at Nintendo, didn't get a position, and you apply for that position again, I mean, you might still get it. And the positions sometimes are there are a lot of people apply, and there's only one person gets picked usually, right? So it's just doesn't mean that they saw your resume, they didn't like it. And I've been on both sides of this, and so I understand how it can be difficult and emotional to going through the motions, but you're more than just a piece of paper. You keep your self-worth, and always pursue your dreams.
I think, Pilar and Cesar said it all. One thing I would add is make sure that you highlight your skills, right? Everybody has different skills. Everybody's really good at things. And why not make a good cover letter, a resume, and highlight, and and bring your whole self to the interview. Right? Show Nintendo what you have, what you bring to the table, and why why we need to hire you. Yeah, and be persistent. Just if you miss an opportunity, if you don't get it the first time, keep on trying.
Yeah, for me, I say find your passion, right? Pilar mentioned this a lot, and I think everyone touched on it, is find your passion. Greatness follows passion. And if you love what you do, you will get there, and you will be happy. Every day you'll be happy doing what anything you're doing, and follow your dreams. Like I said, it felt crazy. It still feels like it's kind of surreal that I'm here in Redmond, Washington, 28 years later after playing Super Mario World, and playing that. So it's so nuts that I had the opportunity to be in this position. And I can give you my advice on the software engineering side, but when you love working like on games and stuff like that, always try to look for low-level programming. Try to understand really what the machines are doing. What is a computer doing? How's the GPU work? Understanding this is really important, because in the video game world, like developers, we love to squeeze, like I mentioned, every cycle out of the machines. And that does really, really help. And just keep pursuing, keep trying. The right position will open for you. And I think Cesar touched it. Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. If when you don't get called once, you're more than just a paper, and just keep pushing. Like, you will get there. Push for it and you will get there.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I would like to add, as a personal experience, it's the first time that I applied for a position at Nintendo. I didn't get the job, but I didn't say, no, this is not for me. I said, okay, this was not the time. I will apply again. And now I am here working at Nintendo after 3 years of being part of the company, and of course, all the experience that I have in the past. So that is something that happened to anyone. So just check the website and try to find something for you.
It is wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you all.
So what I hear is a numbers game. Don't give up. Is that what I hear?
Well, there's certainly an amount of luck, as many things in life. There was one opportunity that I had at Nintendo where I had to wait for someone else. If they didn't show, I wouldn't be here, and it's kind of weird. So there's that element as well.
Oh yeah, there's always, they say, there's success is a part of talent and luck. Being in the right place at the right time, and that's how it goes.
Sometimes you have to leave it to the heavens.
Yeah, and that Nintendo stands for.
Yeah, I would share that it took me 3 years from the first time I interviewed until I finally came aboard as well. So sometimes it just is persistence.
I'm really glad you're all here.
Well, thank you all so much for your advice and for sharing your career journeys here at Nintendo. Just a quick note to our audience. Nintendo is hiring. Please consider joining our talent community by going to the link at the end of this presentation to create your profile and submit your resume. We'll reach out to you regarding current and future opportunities that may meet your career interests. You can also go directly to our career site at careers.nintendo.com to see the current openings and to apply directly.
All right, thanks, Josh. So we'll show you that slide here shortly with details that Josh just mentioned. But at this moment, I want to just say thanks again for all your contributions to our panelists and representing the Hispanic and Latin voices in the gaming industry. Of course, ultimately delivering smiles. I think we smiled pretty much the whole time now, but again, ultimately delivering on our mission of delivering smiles. Also, I want to give another thanks to Latinx in Gaming for putting this event together. We hope you all enjoyed today's panel discussion. And on behalf of Nintendo, happy Hispanic Heritage Month.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Adiós.
Adiós.